accuracy. And this is probably the most important word in the costuming community. And yet it is one that is seemingly way more complicated than one might think about in terms of implementation, but also in terms of understanding. And I will start with the first advice that I ever received when I did my original costume. And it was, ultimately, it's your own costume. You, and only you, can choose how deep into details you want to go and how much accuracy you want to give your costume. And if you go to any dictionary, you will see something along the line of conforming exactly to truth or to a standard. And these are the two things that I want to talk about: truth and standard. What is the truth and what is the standard? Every costuming club and community has its own set of standards. However they come about it might be different. In the 501st, the standards are outlined in the costume reference library. But the important part is the foundational principle of the 501st. That is what we call screen accuracy. Screen accuracy, or what I like to call truth by moving images. And this is what a costumer would be typically looking at. What I see on screen is what I am trying to replicate, right? So you would have to look at all the little details and try to figure out what are the materials and what are the components based on what you can see on screen. That is, a screenshots, basically. Spend your time frame by frame trying to see if there is something that is evident and that needs to be there. And that's what I call truth from the filming. We enter the realm of collectors. What we see on screen is not always what happens on set. The props that are being used may look different on set. The colors will very much be different on set. So where do we get all this information for set accuracy? We get it from three different kinds: pictures, videos, behind the scenes shots and documentaries, social media from crews and actors and production house that show some of these images is a very important tool. The second place where you might find that would be in conventions or costume display or costume exhibitions that happen officially from the production house. And then the third place would be written interviews where they may describe certain things and explain some details that allow someone to go really deep and finding all these detailed information they need to create a really accurate set costume. This is a bit confusing because we talk a lot about, this has to be visually accurate. And by that we mean, in general, this has to look like what was in the movie. But I would take that as visual accuracy is the truth from the public. And in this case, I think we enter the realm of cosplay. In general, public do not go into that rabbit hole of ours that is finding exactly all the details. They remember something, and that is what they are intending to see or replicate. For all intent and purposes, when someone goes on a website that advertises cosplay material, you will often find costumes that are almost there. Obviously, for us, it would not meet the criteria and the standards that are being implemented by the 501st. However, it is not necessarily untrue. The representation of the character is valid, and for the public it will be truthful. Hence me saying visual accuracy is the truth from the public. In this case, I will call it the truth from the maker. and it links to the collector somehow. A lot of development is being done with obviously proposals and discussions and conceptual drawings and designs that are sometimes being shared publicly. These characters don't make it on screen as we see them in these drawings or in these designs, but they exist. They've existed in the mind of the maker. So there is some truth to that, and based on the drawings and based on the material that exists out there, we'll write a standard. Although it has not been seen on screen, it is still accurate through the origins of the drawings. And now something a little bit different and maybe a bit trivial for some, but it is important to remember what we call residual memory accuracy. And it's not a truth, it's a pseudo truth. It is how we remember something that never was. Sometimes we remember a character and it's not exactly how it was portrayed. Some of the details are wrong, some of the clothing are wrong, some of the accessories are wrong, but somewhere along the line, this is how we remember it. The original trilogy Kenner is a great example as to how you create these residual memories that are not necessarily factual, but this is how you remember these characters. I talked about Chewbacca. If you take the Chewbacca 1977 Kenner toy, there were no gray patches. They were light brown and dark brown. If you take the Kenner toys for Han Solo on Hoth, you will see that the jacket is totally blue. And if you watch the movie, because of the color correction, it feels a bit bluish. But then if you look into the archive picture, you realize the jacket is actually brown. We spend so many years playing with these toys that somehow they are engraved into our memory as what it should be. Many of the truth we clinch to depends on our own point of view. And in our cases, the truth represents the accuracy. Which one do we choose over another? Do we want to be screen accurate, the gold standard for costumers in the 501st? Or do we want to be set accurate, which would be a collector level? Are we satisfied with visual accuracy, that is a solid cosplay? Do we want to play with our childhood memory and just work on residual memory? Maybe. In some cases, it can be fun. It really depends on what we want to achieve. You are making your costume, and depending on what you want to achieve, then you choose your path, and that is the most important.